snackablementalhealth.ca here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and we have an amazing guest lined up today. We've got Karen here. We had a bit of a Karen slowdown, not a throwdown today.
We did.
And guess who we have? We have a legendary Peel region basketball player out of Chinguacousy Secondary School.
Wow.
And he is also a illustrious comedian. There's so much in this man's resume that I can't even, I want to lay it all out for you, but he's our biggest start to date on the show, which doesn't put anybody else under the bus, because you'll see when we talk that this guy is worth it. His name is Patrick Haye. He's out of Mississauga now. I would say he does voice work. He does acting. He does comedic work. And if you know his work, It's All About the Principle, or It's About the Principle was first album.
Yeah.
Available on Spotify. Kerfuffle just came out recently.
Yeah.
Also, damn funny. Mr. Patrick Haye.
What's up? What's up? I don't know about legendary basketball player. I don't know about
That's. I was like, you know what? As soon as I came across him a few years ago on a few years ago on social media, and I was like, I'm a couple of years younger than you. I was in junior, and I was a mediocre ball player. I wasn't a starter. I played for BSS, Bramley Secondary. And I wasn't a starter. I became a starter later on. I got better. But I was watching you guys. It was you and Patrick Haye and Ainsley Brooks.
Yep, Ainsley. Yep.
On the same team. And you guys always had a really good game against the BSS. It was a rivalry.
Yeah.
And I just remember this guy with the flat top.
Yeah.
And this amazing jump shot. It was Patrick's jump shot was like, because she's a basketball person too.
Okay.
Patrick's jump shot had very little arc on it. It just kind of was very direct, and it went in every time. And I was like, these guys are going to kill us. And then it was Humphrey Hill and Earl Clara and those guys.
Yep.
And it was such a rivalry between Chinguacousy Secondary School and Bramley Secondary School. And I'm like, I'm going to remember these guys. Like, this is like
up to today. I still think Humphrey's one of the best guards this country's ever seen at that age. Humphrey handled the ball like it was a yo-yo. Like his handles were ridiculous.
I agree completely. That was Earl Humphrey and Joel King also. Those guys, actually, the whole Peel region at that point in time was something that was full of uncut gems. Really, men, yourself included, that could have made pro these days if the right scouting was around back then.
Yeah, there was no Basketball Canada back then.
There wasn't.
So there was no system. There was no program.
Development league or
nothing.
Academies or just camps. I went to Colin Grant's another guy that came up there. Do you remember that guy?
I remember Colin.
We went to all pro basketball camp. That was the only thing around back then. And then in my past, I moved from Bramley to Cobourg, where we are now. Being a mediocre basketball player in in Bramley, I was an all-star here in Cobourg.
Superstar.
Because this is a hockey town, right? Nobody played basketball back then. And now, with the explosion of, I think it all really started when, I think we could say it started with Damon Stoudemire and then to
Raptors.
Yeah.
Once the Raptors got here,
it started to really bloom.
It really started to bloom. Different camps, different programs, and it just kept expanding, and there are some programs out there. Remember Bobby Allen from
I was going to wear my Bobby Allen Skills Academy hoodie. I have the hoodie.
He runs a program. He runs a school that and some of the talent that he puts out is incredible.
Bobby was huge rivals with Humphrey.
Yeah, he was.
So,
and as nice as that rivalry was, I mean, Humphrey's handles were crazy, but Bobby's game was
wow. And he got to outscore Steve Nash on the Canadian national team.
He was, up to today, I don't think people talk about Bobby Allen enough. I don't think he really gets.
I like this. This is so true.
I don't think he gets his
a pro player.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Like if we had the system in place now, back then,
Yeah.
Bobby's going pro
Yeah.
easily.
Exactly. Local cuts with basketball is. Have you heard the name Clinton Cebulski?
Clinton Cebulski.
I'm plugging that name because we just interviewed him. He runs an academy himself called Point Guard College, and he's from Kitchener, but now resides in Cobourg. He's a chiropractor. Okay. He also coaches the CCI, the Cobourg Collegiate Institute basketball team, the senior basketball team.
Okay.
And he, with his knowledge of ball, he's short and white, but he's an incredible handler, and he is an amazing shooter.
Okay.
Played some ball for, I believe, Division II, and they won the national championship with him as a starter. Out of Kitchener, ended up becoming the high school coach, and they just made OFSA, AAA OFSA.
Nice.
They're 15th seed out of 20, and I'm like, playing ball here, we never even thought about OFSA. We were like, CASA is like the furthest we'd go, but they're going to get a huge eye opener when they go to OFSA. They're going to see Toronto teams.
Yeah.
And like I would say North South Peel.
Yeah.
Every one of those teams would probably be able to beat the Cobourg team, even though Cobourg made it to OFSA. Yeah. Because they're just like one team makes it from your region. Yeah. So yeah. So Cobourg's got an OFSA style team, but I would love to hear. I can't wait to hear the story from Clinton.
Yeah.
About what the kids went through when they went to OFSA over in Kingston. I think it starts next week.
That's cool.
But b-ball and basketball took me a long way.
Yeah.
And I mean, just in my head, even just to see, to witness, like the lore of Peel region back then, and you're a part of that. And I was like, when your name came up, and I was like, Patrick Haye played for Ching, and I'm like, and he's damn funny. And he's killing it on the Toronto circuit. And I just started this rinky-dink little podcast last fall, and I'm like, I got to start having these people on just to talk about history and
whatever
Toronto lore and try and get it across the board with some mental health and knowledge and all that stuff, and how the grind of being a successful comedian affects you mentally.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not 100% on all the time.
Yeah, some
and when
days
you're
are
not,
rough.
how do you cope?
Some days are rough. Like some days, I mean, it is a job. Some days you wake up and you don't feel like doing it. It's like, man, I don't feel like being funny. I want to just chill today. I just, don't feel like going in.
How do you bring the funny?
You gotta change your energy. Right, I usually figure out a way to change my energy. Sometimes before shows, you'll see me like walking around and kind of moving my shoulders and doing these boxing moves and different things like that. Just try to get your energy up just before you go on stage. But for me personally, every time I'm actually on stage now and a couple jokes in, that laughter is medicine.
Right. Okay.
It takes just a few minutes of hearing that laughter.
Their laughter is the best medicine.
Their laughter just brings me to like, okay, we're here.
Yeah.
We're back. Let's get into it now. And then it's their laughter. For me, anyway, it's their laughter. But yeah, when you wake up in the first thing in the morning and going through the day, you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this.
It's funny. I have a little thing. My doctor, he's retired now, but I grew up with this doctor, Dr. Mark Isak. He told me once when I wasn't doing so well mentally, he said, Brandon, there's some days I wake up and I think everything's right in the world when I get up. Mm-hmm. And then I realize that the world still needs fixing. And it I'm in the shower and I'm like, oh, that just went on. Okay. Yeah. Now I got to deal with that now. Yeah. With comedy, I tried my chops I cut my teeth in stand-up comedy in 2004. I met a bunch of people downtown. David Rubin was one of them. I'm pretty sure you know that guy. And I did a couple of things and I was like, you know what? I don't think I have it in me to be a stand-up comic as a career. I want to stick to writing. That's one of your things too. You write?
I did some writing. I did I write all my own comedy, but I did some writing for an animated TV show years ago. Okay. Which was a lot of fun.
What was it called?
It was called Ninja Maker.
That's amazing.
Ninja Maker. Somewhere it's out there on some
I'm gonna write that down.
some network shelf somewhere.
That's amazing.
But yeah, myself and this other comedian, Jean Paul.
Like a Rastafarian ninja.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Basically a Rastafarian that he's like a Jason Bourne Rasta.
Wow.
Right? So picture Jason
I
Bourne
can't-
as a Rasta. He wakes up, he's like, how am I able to do all this stuff?
I can't
But he's a
believe
dread.
that didn't go anywhere. I would
Get picked up.
Bob Marley, Rastafarian, Bob Marley, Kwanzaa
Yeah.
is like the Rastafarian
Yeah.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Google.
But yeah, no, I can't believe that was not the next SpongeBob. That's an amazing premise. I love it.
Didn't go. It was fun. It was fun doing it.
So were you the Jason Bourne
I
Rastafarian?
was, yeah, my voice originally was Ninja Maker's voice. And
Was it your voice or was it like
No, it was my
complete
voice.
complete and total like
It was my voice.
Rastafarian accent?
Little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit. But I mean, I was raised by Jamaican parents, but I was born here. So even my Jamaican, if I try to get too deep, it kind of sounds like
That
you
you're
know
trying
when,
too hard?
when American actors
Try
they
it.
try to get American actors to do Jamaican accent. You're like, this guy ain't Jamaican. Yeah, it's kind of in that direction. So I kind of just stay in my lane on that. But yeah,
Nice. Just discussed Ninja Macon, which is an incredible premise. Even to watch it in your head is pretty funny.
yeah.
I just gave Patrick a sticker of basically the logo of Snackable Mental Health. And what I wanted to put out there to the universe again is Karen and I, before Patrick got here, were talking about in the future, probably very near future, maybe next September or something like that, a cartoon, an animated series called The Conditions of Noodle's Mind Brain.
Okay.
Working title. And I'm looking for voice work. So wouldn't be unrewarded either.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is have this Conditions of Noodle's Mind Brain be like a 3 to 5 minute short cartoon.
Okay.
Everything that's on the bag is the subject of the cartoon for that specific bit.
Okay.
The bag is a character. The brain is a character. There's another one I came up with, a character in the Bahamas called Pizza Friend, who is a leftover college pizza.
Okay.
He's a character. I'm kind of letting this all out of the bag now because I really want people to know that this is I'm still going to be doing this stuff even if it all fails.
It's in the process.
It's all
in
in the
works.
process. What I want to do is hit up Sheridan College Graphic Arts Animation
Okay.
and see if those guys can create something that would be a little cheaper than actually going to an animation studio to do it. So
Yeah.
that's my back to me from Ninja Maker, which is incredible.
I gotta look that up.
Did we didn't, I think we discussed it beforehand, is what Patrick put out today, this week, about self-deprecation and comedy.
Yes.
I am big into self-deprecation for myself as kind of like something that puts my ego in check and trying to feel as unimportant as possible. And my ego is better than everybody's, as most people's egos are. And self-deprecating, I think, is an angle that you play as a comedian to try and get, like, what can you explain self-deprecation for me?
I was actually really surprised at the kind of response that post got. Like, it got a lot of positive response, a lot of surprising response. Because I've done so many shows with so many awesome comedians, and I've seen so many comedians really, really rip themselves to bits. And over the years, just learning more about ourselves, our minds, the way we grow, the way we comprehend things and learn things, and as we're growing, and the power that we have within us.
Right.
Words have incredible amount of power. And I had just done a show like a couple weeks ago, and there were a couple comedians on the show, and they tore themselves to bits. And in my mind, I'm like, they were getting laughs, and I'm rooting for them because as a comedian, like, I want you to get big laughs. That just makes for a great show. But I'm thinking like the power of our words. You really have to be aware of where your mind goes. Sometimes we all have that inner voice that tells us different things at different times, and it's just to really try to be aware
Right.
of where that inner voice is taking you from time to time.
And how it kind of can develop into a
Yeah.
condition.
Yeah. Like if you don't
That-
pay attention and your voice is always going somewhere negative, after a while it just becomes a habit. And you don't
It
even
becomes
you don't
part
even
of you,
it becomes
and-
part of you and you don't even realize you're doing it. Like anything happening, or you approach a situation, you're going on this new date, your mental is already saying this isn't going to work out, or this is going to be
Have you
horrible.
ever been to? Yeah, this is a big thing for me. This was big when I was in those days that we talked about earlier, the single man days. Going into a club and there was kind of a bad energy in there.
Yeah.
But holding out with and trying to bring your best self to that energy in the club or energy in the auditorium or
Yeah.
the stadium, and just trying your best to. I managed to think I was doing it anyway, helping to feed the positive angle of the place,
Yeah.
and watching the entire place become more positive.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like I brought that up.
Well-
I brought that up with Robin Whale a while back. He was one of our guests.
Yeah.
Was our first guest,
Yeah.
actually, chiropractor Robin Whale, about being able to change the emotion or the feeling in a room simply by thinking positively. And that kind of kicks self-deprecation's ass.
It's just you pay attention to different things.
Yeah.
When you're in a positive vibe.
Yeah.
When you're in a negative vibe, you seem to find the negativity in certain situations. Like
Okay.
it's there. But if you're in a positive mind state, your energy's up, back straight, chest up, chin
Kinda-
up, smile on your face, like this is going to be a great day. You notice
It does work.
You
It
notice
works.
the better things.
Yeah.
And it's just to get your head there and to actually really pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Like it's
Yeah, you know what that makes me think of? Like the proof of what he's saying is look at older people from Saturday Night Live, like Chris Farley. He always was down on himself, right?
Very
He
down
was
on
using
himself.
His weight as his
Yeah, he called
Yeah.
his comedy "Fat Guy Falls Down."
Yeah.
That was what he
fat
called
guy, little coat.
fat.
like,
big
Yeah.
and
fat
look
guy.
where he ended up, and it so it when I watched your thing the other day, it made me think of those because I watch comedy all the time.
yeah.
Well, that's the first.
So
thing
you've
I
seen
brought-
so many comedians
Pat
self-deprecate,
themselves up. Yep.
and then when you start to really think about it, it's
they're
like
living like that.
it's like if they can separate themselves from the joke. Like if they're like, I'm doing this because I know it gets jokes. But when they're off stage, it's like, I don't believe that stuff.
Right.
They're okay.
Yep.
But if they come off the stage and in their mind you talk to them and they're like, oh, you really believe the stuff you say on stage.
Yeah.
That's heading down a dangerous path. Because they could be attracting that kind of vibe into their life. And it could just be like a continual spiral
This is-
inside.
This is also just a mind blower for me. It's getting me, Anthony Jeselnik. One of a really dark comedy. He does gallows humor is what he calls his comedy. He's so dark, but I recently saw him in Windsor. He was at the Windsor Caesars, and all of his he labeled his comedy gallows humor because it's the ability to poke fun at even the darkest of concepts,
Okay.
but living like that.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
there's a light just
Scary.
went on there.
Yeah.
That like
Like if that's where
That's
that's where your mind lives, that's a dark place. And that could be attracting that kind of vibe into your life and you don't even realize
into
that.
your real life,
Into
as
your
opposed
real
to your
life.
career, which is
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah. It's a dangerous place to be if you're not really paying attention to what you're paying attention to.
Okay.
You know, and an interesting, I'm not sure how I want to phrase this or what to call it, exercise to do with yourself, if you can remember to do it, is when your mind starts to bring up whatever negative thing you're thinking about it and you catch yourself, really catch yourself and maybe make a note on your phone, like have a notepad on your phone, write down what that thought is.
Yes.
and immediately under it write the opposite.
That's a very self-helpy genre kind of thing.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just
Do-
takes your mind to a different place. It's
do
like
the-
your mind was here, and then just think the exact opposite.
There's a self-help. I don't want to use the word guru because that gets thrown around a lot. Her name is Byron Katie. She does a thing called the work, and being accountable for your own thinking, for your own not just your actions, but your thinking as well.
Yeah.
And doing the work. What does she call it? Doing the work and inquiry. Where did that thought come from?
Yeah.
Can you turn that around?
Yeah.
Is her inquiry to the work. You have a thought that, I don't know, I hate myself, I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
What is the exact opposite to that? I love myself, I want to live forever.
Yeah.
So, and then
And
fixed.
but immediately catch
Yes,
yourself
exactly.
in the moment. Yeah.
The immediacy
And
of
when
it.
you write it
I'm loving
down,
this.
like, it's a different commitment to your mental
Right.
when you actually write it down.
And I think it's incredible that you're the one who came forth and said this when I've wondered for so many years in comedy why nobody else has.
Yeah.
Nobody else talks about that part. Like Jim Carrey has issues. We all have issues. But I grew up always thinking, well, I was told you're only a comedian if you come from a rough life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I always thought that.
The equation is tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've said that before. I said if tragedy plus time equals comedy, then I'm on my way to becoming Eddie Murphy.
And it's actually surprising you mentioned Jim Carrey. It's surprising that, like, years ago, he didn't bring this up because he's also very big on manifesting.
Right.
He said that numerous times on several different shows and podcasts. He's really big on manifesting.
It's so
So he
amazing.
knows the power of your words, the power of your thoughts. So for him to be in comedy the way he was, and obviously he was around several different comedians who self-deprecated. It's like,
And
Bring it up.
But in real life,
Yeah.
to be the exact opposite of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, or
Right?
Yeah.
Fire Marshal Bill, or
Yeah.
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, he was so funny.
But to be that knowledgeable
Yeah.
about, and we're still talking about Jim Carrey here, to be that knowledgeable about the self. And
Yeah.
another thing he said was that if I hope everybody on the planet gets everything they ever wanted,
yeah,
because then they'll find out that that's not the
that's
answer
not it.
either.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
hope
like,
everyone
you know, I
becomes
didn't-
rich and famous.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't believe that, but I would like to see. I would like to, like,
Yeah.
in the comedic vein of it. Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
you know what I
try
mean.
that.
Let me try it. Just let me try it for a minute. But yeah,
So-
he's very big on manifesting. So yeah, it is kind of surprising that he's never brought that up before.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he.
Well, he's got like, there's a few movies out there that were pretty, like, Truman Show is one.
Yeah.
I've had that concept in my brain for quite a long time.
Cable Guy was
Cable Guy was
Cable
dark.
Guy was a little
it
dark.
was
Yeah.
very dark.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Mm-hmm.
and The Majestic. There are a few other ones that are really deep that aren't that comical.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey, how he became such a authority on new age guru-ness,
Yeah.
apart from his angles in comedy, just are mind blowing.
Yeah. He just somewhere along the way he started really
Abandoning.
just looking into self.
Yeah.
Just looking into himself.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that came from his manifesting.
Yeah.
Like he said, he used to go up to like the Hollywood Hill and just imagine himself, like just spend, I don't know how much hours he spent up there, but he would just imagine himself as like a superstar with all this money, like being at that level. And he did it over and over and over. After a while, that becomes habit. After a while, if you do it enough, that becomes a part of you. Like those thoughts, it's easy to just go into that mentality like, yeah, man, I'm
Right.
a superstar. And then as well, if you start to add the addition of your physiology, like back straight, chest up, chin up, always smiling, you're expecting things to be great, and that's the energy you're giving off, it changes things for you. I believe it does. I believe it changes things for you.
I'm with that 100. I don't like to give it more than 100%.
And we speak about like, these self-help type of gurus and like, throwing their name out kind of sounds like whatever, but like I'm probably the king of them all, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Been around doing it for 40 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
So his knowledge of that is incredible. Like if you go into a deep dive, like today, go home later today, go into a deep dive and just watch a ton of Tony Robbins videos.
And it's all like his programs are expensive, but you can watch them for free on YouTube.
There's
as much
so
as you
many
want.
different parts are
much
on
as you want.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see conversations like what we're having right now come up, and you see like his knowledge of it is 40 years. He's been doing it 40
Of
years.
studying
So his knowledge of
fame
it
and
is
studying
ridiculous.
money and studying
Studying
relationships.
studying ourselves, where our mind goes, the different things that motivate us,
Yes.
and different things that don't motivate us, and how we can get stuck in a rut. And like his knowledge of it is incredible. Joe Dispenza is another
That's a
guy.
name I don't know.
He's another guy as well. Like changing the way you think will change the way you live, will change your life. Like it's just these different concepts that these guys know to a totally different level. But if you watch their videos, you start to understand. Like,
And as you can see, I'm not
Yeah.
quite there yet.
yeah, it's just
But that's where I'm headed.
I find this.
That's
I
right.
I find this stuff very interesting, especially the way those two break it down. Like they go into the depth
They've
of
studied it for their entire life.
your neurological mind, how different things, and it's the way how deep they go. It's really interesting. It's really interesting.
He's
Wow.
got a lot
Yeah.
of books.
Yeah,
Tony?
Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
Okay, we have him on there.
and you said earlier like even sometimes the way you think about the progress of the podcast or whatever, and like you have to catch yourself the way you're thinking. Like
Always in the back of my mind is becoming a better listener.
Yeah.
Becoming better at. There's a mantra that goes through my head whenever I'm feeling that I'm not being true to myself is be a better listener, gentling, whispering, hearing the positivity, even when it's a mountain of crap.
yeah.
Like try and find. My next book is called Glimmer Edition, which is in Trigger Happy. I bring up what we've gone through that is a trigger for everybody. Everybody has their trigger that can make that memory or that trauma a little bit less
Painful,
traumatic.
yeah.
And the Glimmer Edition is about being mindful, about cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
All this stuff that you speak of all the Tony Robbinses out there. How you listen to Tony Robbins, and I'm not saying you, people that listen to Tony Robbins, are they getting better and better every day? You know what I mean? Like, because when you bring up like, this is such a this is actually a conversation I didn't expect to have with you, but it's taking me down like a very self-educating angle. Like when you listen to these people, and on Spotify, Patrick's got his podcast. Please
Yes. Don't read the comments.
don't read the comment. Yes, wicked.
My
I've got mine.
podcast is not deep at all, though. Like I'm with another comedian, and we're just talking about what's trending and stuff like that. Like it's just jokes.
It's just jokes. My angle is to try and be funny on the mental health angle, and educational and informative, but definitely not professional advice. But yeah, no, going down those rabbit holes of Spotify self-help podcasts, YouTube has it's an infinite
Yeah.
kind of well of information that you could use to help you lead a better life, and it's pretty much free. You're
Yeah.
paying
Yeah.
premium costs for.
I would assume people who go down those wormholes of studying these people, some of them might just find it entertaining or just interesting information. But if you're actually
Yeah, grab a pen,
wanting
grab a journal,
to get
Work on
better
yourself.
and work on yourself,
it's all
take
out
it-
there.
take it like school. Like put aside time every day and be like, I'm studying this. Like exactly what you said, pen and paper. There are different tools that they give you to be like, oh, if I practice that, they give you an earlier one. I said, the exercise to do with yourself. When the bad thought comes in, actually write it down.
Write down
and
that
then write
thought.
down the opposite after.
Yeah.
Like these are different ways to catch where your mind is
And
at.
it's about our conditioning as well.
Yeah.
Like how we can kind of deprogram ourselves from
Yeah.
our negative conditioning.
Yeah.
Yes.
They say to write things to make yourself more positive, especially a lot of women, girls.
I am a strong and confident woman.
And you put it everywhere. In
Yeah,
your
vision
house.
boards.
Vision boards are huge. I don't do that, but
Yep.
any mirror, because women, I'm sure there's millions of men too, always looking in the mirror. Like, do I look okay? I don't want to go out looking like that, whatever. But then there's your positive sticky note. You know, you are good enough to go outside today. You are good enough to go to school.
Affirmations.
Yes.
Vision boards are I think are incredibly powerful because the amount of effort you put into them.
Yeah.
There was a
You know, if you do a vision board like on a Word document,
Yeah.
like there are certain things I really want, and you're going to look for like those pictures to cut and
Yeah.
paste and add to the vision
you see
board,
that
and
poster?
then right underneath it what you want to feel with it. Like it takes
Yeah.
energy.
My friend has a business in Toronto.
Yeah.
Vision boards.
Yeah,
Making vision boards
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
People
That's
sign up.
pretty
yeah.
cool.
It's I think they're incredibly powerful things.
There was one, of course, it didn't come true for me yet, but there was a poster I saw while I was in college. It was reasons for pursuit of a higher education. And it was just a beach house with like a 5-car garage, and they were all like high end status cars. And I was like, that's a really good vision board.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. Like, we're here now. Started from the bottom. Is whenever that comes on, I'm like, I've seen I believe the worst of my life is behind me, regardless of wealth or materialistic things. The worst of my life is well behind me now. And using that as education for my own self to keep doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
to believe that what I'm doing is important. Another quote, everything you're doing is insignificant, but keep doing it because it matters.
Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah, it's just, as opposed to having that $1 million paycheck come in, or that status car that's over here. You know, it's just a Sentra.
I
But
said status card. I'm
Status.
like, oh, you get a status card? I have one.
I want one.
I had to throw some humor in there.
Yes. But yeah, no, it's apart from materialism and actual wealth, there's a lot more that this life offers to us.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot more of what this life offers is already within us.
let's put that on a t-shirt.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
That's
a
a
lot
shirt I'd
more,
buy.
Let's put
a
that on
lot
a t-shirt.
more of that next level of happiness and fulfillment that a lot of us want to achieve is already within us. It's just, I think
And does it even need to come out if we already have the understanding that
well, that's the thing.
that-
It's to understand it and to get to know it. I think we get in our way with the thoughts we have, all the influences
we get
that
in our
that
own way?
Media.
yeah, social media. It just we get caught up in these external distractions
That
Yeah.
we're creating for ourselves.
that we're creating for
and
ourselves.
we blame other people for creating them, but we're in fact we're aiding in that creation.
Yeah. Where if you start to just
we get
clear away the
lost.
clutter and start to really go deeper inside, it's like, oh, that joy is kind of in there already. I needed a way to unlock it and kind of get in there and figure it out. And okay,
Yeah.
like it's a deep dive into yourself and certain things that
And that's
you
where
might not even realize. You might not even realize there are certain things that are deeper in there that will give you way more joy than anything externally. And we're just so used to these external vices
we're so quick
Yeah.
to use the negative, right? Because it's always right there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm more than a month into to stopping smoking, and I'm trying to outsmart it with my internal joy and my internal understanding of, do I actually love this body that I'm in? You know, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? Smoking, when I look at it, I'm thinking, I told my doctor, I said, I'm going to outsmart it. Like, I wake up in the morning, immediately I want a cigarette with my coffee. But then I'm like, you know, maybe that picture on the box of cigarettes is right. Maybe that it is bad for me.
Yeah.
Maybe cigarettes are bad for me. Figuring that out now,
Yeah.
before it kills me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I stopped drinking around the same time I stopped smoking. The Bahamas, my trip was the last stand for my big vices.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And I came back and I'm like, you know what? Things are going to change. I want to save some money. I want to look better. My teeth are getting whiter. I don't have like cheesy fingers from the nicotine.
Yeah.
I'm not coughing anymore. I haven't had a hangover in more than a month.
The gym is next. You hitting the gym?
That's next. I got
The gym
my,
is
I have
next.
my I have my Planet Fitness membership already.
That's the same gym I go to. It's great.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. I'm doing
Change
the
the physiology. Like that's the
it's
energy
this.
that you're.
It's this guy.
I heard a doctor say, and it wasn't my doctor, it was on television, that if our bodies were made of plastic and you could see inside,
The Visible Man.
yeah,
Remember that?
you
It was a
would
toy.
know what
you
you're
were
doing
doing.
to yourself. So imagine if our brains were like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
See all the negativity.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, I had a very rough childhood. I was in foster care, 17 homes.
Mm.
And I don't know why I'm positive with that, because I think y'all are damn lucky to have me in your lives. You know, I could have chose the negative road.
Yeah.
I could have chose drugs, alcohol.
Well, you're absolutely you're noted as a survivor of the system.
And I don't look at it as I'm a survivor. I just think, damn, I kick ass.
I love it.
You know?
Yeah.
I went through it for a reason. And I don't know what it is yet, and I'm 55. But, you know, I'm
Well, you're here
so-
now, and
that's right.
you're and you've got your soapbox. We've all got our soapboxes.
Yeah. Mine's a donut box, but anyway.
But yeah, no, like tell your story. Like
Yeah.
seriously, that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can help, what they always say, if you help one person, then that's enough. I don't think that that's true. Personally, I like to believe that I'm doing the
Yes.
ongoing work, that you're doing positive work. We're here. I don't know. You ever read the book Dark Side of the Light Chasers?
No.
That was a good one. Debbie Ford recently passed away, but it was all about exercises you can do to kind of what's the word?
Extricate.
Extricate, is that a word?
Yeah.
Can I use that?
Oh, yeah.
The darkness in yourself, acknowledging it, but not being of it.
And you're a comedian, and
Yeah.
you're not using, you know, you're not putting yourself down. You are putting down cat people. I'm a cat person.
I like what I want to get into right now. I like that one. I like that. Cats are weird. They are the weirdest of all of our domestic companions. Cats are the
And
weirdest.
people who have cats, we take a lot of pictures of our cats. And if our cat stands on her two back legs, you're videotaping it because it's like, oh my
She's
god.
a TikTok star.
I was a TikTok star. I was till somebody stole my.
Okay, so Patrick, what is your starting five? I wanted you to bring that
Oh,
one
the
up.
starting five.
I wanted to hit on why we're supposed to hate each other.
This division that's
Yeah.
happening. I have no idea how things got really this sensitive in comedy, and the division. I don't get it. It's things are so divisive right now. I don't understand.
It's so difficult to be a comedian these days.
Yes.
And it's
'Cause
really
you gotta watch
sensitive.
every little thing that. But when you
that's
go
not
back,
comedy.
you go back and you listen to Richard Pryor,
Oh my
Yeah.
George
God.
Carlin,
Yes.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Delirious, one of the
Delir-
greatest
I-
sets
Oh,
we've ever
yes.
seen.
Literally,
he would have got
when
canceled.
first-
he would be canceled.
First saw Delirious very young,
Yeah.
but pissed myself. I literally pissed myself. Cosby made. Sorry, guys. Cosby.
Yep.
Bill Cosby himself.
Yep.
Drool and Pee came out
Yes.
at that comedy.
So funny.
Yes.
But now, like,
It's-
don't say Cosby. Like,
It's
Right?
very. I actually have a joke about. I talk about therapy. I actually talk about therapy
Let's hear the bit.
on
Can we hear
on
it?
stage,
Can we hear
and
the
it's I said that I recently started doing it, looking into it, had some frustration and stuff. So I thought, maybe I'd talk to somebody, work things out. The weird thing about it was, made sure I found a white therapist though.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't find a black therapist. I went to a white therapist.
I want to hear why.
Can't go to a black therapist. I walk in, he could be just as mad as me. That was just two angry brothers in a room. That's not helping anybody. And then, but then I talk about like this Diddy stuff.
Okay,
I
don't
was
know
like-
much about it, but keep going.
Yeah, it's like I also, therapy for this Diddy stuff. Because like when you admire certain people for a long, long time and then find out they're that jacked up, it messes with you,
Yeah.
right? It started with Cosby.
Yeah.
Remember when we all found out about Cosby? Felt like your world shook. It was like, Cosby? Really?
Yeah.
Then R. Kelly,
Yeah.
right? The music between Diddy and R. Kelly, the music, the parties I used to go to, not his parties.
Right.
Not his parties. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it would be like if 10 years from now you find out that like Taylor Swift was trafficking kids the whole time.
Oh my God.
You'd be like, Taylor? Really?
Yeah.
Taylor? And you start to find out all these weird sexual details she's doing with the kids and
Right.
how she used to call the kids Swiffer sweepers. You'd be like, what? Taylor? Really? Sweepers? You would need a minute to work that out.
Yeah. It's so true.
So did you find the therapist?
No. No. I actually never actually got a therapist, but when I was writing the joke, I was like,
You found
I
out
think
that
this
through
will
that bit
actually
you didn't need a therapist anymore. You just talked yourself out of it.
talk myself right through it. It's like, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. But that's the bit. That's the bit. And the response
Cosby
of it,
though, when that broke, and the thing about Cosby for me was he didn't say a word while all that was going on. He didn't stand up for himself, and I'm like, did he know something else that people weren't talking about?
Yeah.
Could he have implicated other people? Is that why he kept quiet?
right? Like it's
Like there's that whole thing, and I'm
but that,
personally,
that shook a lot of people.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was America's father for
Because
decades.
the Cosby Show
Yeah.
raised
Yeah.
so many people.
Yeah.
That show was incredible.
Cosby Show, 8:00.
Yep.
Family Ties 8:30, Cheers 9:00,
Yep.
and Night Court 9:30 on Thursday nights.
Yep.
I just
for
remember
years.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice
Friday
Friday
night,
10
night.
o'clock.
Oh yeah, 10.
10 o'clock. Fall Guy Friday 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'd go to bed.
But
right after watching.
that started with recognizing Cosby
Yeah.
at 8:00 on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Everybody was home. Everybody was watching.
Everybody was watching Cosby Show. Everybody watched Cosby
Parents.
Show.
And that whole, all of that, we're not even allowed to talk about anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And there was my parents at the time. When this all happened with Cosby, they're like, well, it was normal then. What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think normal is the right word, but
Yeah.
that was happening
It was.
on a grand scale, and
Yeah.
it wasn't called roofing or date rape or anything like that. It was just, this is like we just went down a
different
wormhole. But it wasn't called anything except for the fact that it was. There's a lot of things that were going on in that era of the mid late 70s, early 80s. That these days people be like, you can't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
But then there's R. Kelly and
But
P.
is
Diddy
it-
who are like, hold my cup.
Is it going to come full
gonna do
circle
it
though?
worse.
And is it going to come full circle where we will be able to talk about this in a comedic vein? I think it will. Probably not for another decade or so.
I'm not sure. I think maybe eventually. I'm not sure how long this.
When can we joke about
this
it, Patrick?
level of sensitivity.
Yeah, the sensitivity, yeah.
will just stay in comedy. I don't know, because there are a lot of people who are tired of it. I think
I was
there are a lot
tired
of
of it
people who are tired of it.
immediately.
Well, as comedians, I
Yeah.
mean, we're like, come on.
Yeah.
Like a lot of comedians don't do colleges, universities anymore.
They become writers. You can hide.
That's not a
They
fun
can
place.
hide.
It's not a fun place to do comedy.
Colleges, yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw Theo.
Meat tosser. PCU, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
You know Theo, the comedian?
Yes.
Okay, so he was just in Rama a few nights
Who's
ago.
that?
I watch his podcast.
Is it Theo Vaughn? I think his name is. Yeah.
And I love him. He's so funny, but he's very inappropriate.
Yes.
But to me, it's comedy.
Yeah.
It's funny. you say a bad word that starts with R, if you're not very smart,
Yeah.
he says it, I laugh because I'm not labeling anybody. But so I went and read the comments, and everyone was like, disgusting. He's just racist. He was, talking about people with handicaps. That's how I was raised.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
Yeah.
If Eddie Murphy said I was stupid, it was funny.
Yeah, because it's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I guess people left. I'm like, oh no,
Not
what's
that-
happening?
not
Like
that
the
many people laugh.
sensitivity is like,
Yeah, it's at an all-time.
Why would you pay money to go watch a comedian
Yeah.
say
Right.
things that you don't want to hear
yeah.
him say?
If you're that sensitive right from jump, just stay home.
yeah.
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 You're going to a comedy show. These people are going to talk about stuff that, unless you're going specifically for like, okay, I'm going for like
There's your
Seinfeld.
disclaimer.
Yeah,
There's your disclaimer
Seinfeld
right there.
doesn't,
He's clean.
yeah.
doesn't disrupt the flow. He doesn't upset anybody. It's not controversial. I'm going to go watch Seinfeld. I'll be happy seeing at the show. That's it. But if you go to a comedy club and you that sensitive, it's like you brought that on
Yep,
yourself.
absolutely.
That's a comedy club. We're in the club to cut loose.
Yeah.
That's where we cut loose.
shouldn't
It's the
go in-
corporate stuff where we kind of stay in line like, okay, there are certain parameters where it's like,
Right.
Or being
Don't
like,
wanna ruffle any feathers in the
Pete,
corporate
Pete Holmes,
world,
who's
but-
one of my favorite guys. He started because he was getting paid by the church to do comedy, so he had to be
yeah,
so clean.
yeah.
Oh wow.
And he was only with the church and doing that tour because they were paying him a lot of money to do it, but he had to stay clean
You had to.
Wow.
Yeah.
with his words. But yeah, no. So the sensitivity. I'm wondering when that kind of issue with being so sensitive is going to
Kind of fizzle.
fizzle out.
Guys,
Where-
you're
where we're
hitting your
just
kids
gonna-
again.
Exactly.
Beat the
Really?
kids. Beat the kids.
Beat them. It's
My
Yep.
My
Make
mom-
them walk too. Take
my
them off
mom-
the scooter.
I was bad. My mom used to hit me with a wooden spoon, right?
Mine too.
She'd whack me up the stairs. Whack, 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 whack. But when I was bad one time, I grabbed all the wooden spoons in the house and hid them under the couch.
No.
I knew I was going to get them. Now she's like, now you're getting this. She gave me. I got the hand. And she was never one to say, wait till your father gets home. She's like, I'm going to do it
I'm gonna
before he
handle
gets
this.
home because he's going to be a nice guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, she was incredible. And yeah, no, I did. Like back in the day, like that was
Yeah.
kind of like the norm was,
Who was that
this
guy
this
that
hurts me more than
smoked
it hurts you.
Italian.
Well, let's
And
yeah.
I'd sit
let's-
there and watch that.
I think we've ironed this out.
But it was definitely different when we were
Yeah.
coming up. All of us, the three of us, it was different.
Yeah.
It was very different coming up.
Like Caddyshack was a good wholesome
like-
comedy movie.
And now we say those racist jokes that we don't say them anymore, but we know them all.
Yeah.
We know all the jokes. We're not allowed to say them because they could offend somebody.
Yeah.
But we grew up in a time where
That was the
that
norm.
was okay.
That was the norm.
And we turned out pretty well. So where do we go from here?
I don't know.
we keep
I really
supporting
don't.
these guys who are walking on stage every night.
Exactly. I mean,
You know?
that for me talking about shedding some light on the subject of mental health is kind of my angle. And coming up with jokes about schizophrenia or jokes about depression or whatever and hitting that angle, but being safe at the same time.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Dice.
Dice
I
Clay.
used to watch everything.
Okay, that
Sorry.
guy,
Dice.
his early stuff,
Yeah.
unbelievably like illegal,
Oh, yeah.
X-rated humor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was little watching this.
but funny. Yeah,
yeah.
even with the Adventures of Ford Fairlane was
Yeah.
his movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I made you clean the toilets, but who did all the work in bed? Yeah, that was a good joke.
Yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Dice
was
Clay
funny.
was
Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Patrick, would you be okay with coming on again, like maybe 6 months from now?
Sure.
Would you be all right with that?
Yeah.
Because this has been a snackable mental health marathon.
It has.
Normally we're between 20 and 35 minutes. We're hitting on an hour now. And
Awesome.
yeah, I am just so... Okay, we've got a lot to unpack on the next show for the next Karen Throwdown, which we do a Karen Throwdown before our guest. Our next guest is going to be Brian Blaine, who is a local Coburg guy who belongs to Wounded Warriors. And we're going to shed some light on Wounded Warriors next time. I'm very thankful that Patrick has given us some of his time. In my world, in very much in everybody else's world, time is a premium, and time is all we have here. And I'm really appreciative for Patrick Haye to come all this way.
Yes.
Thanks for
to
having
our
me.
little studio
Thanks for
here.
having me. This was a great conversation.
Snackablementalhealth.ca. Thanks so much.